This way of living is a hard way to go. What I'm doing here is making chili marmalade. We were bequeathed, not bequeathed, we were left in our garden with beautiful fruit trees. The previous owner was European, and it was just natural for them to plant lovely gardens, and so there are some lovely floral plants. We had what's the South African one that we love so much? Anyway, we had one of those trees. It'll come to me on the nature strip. It fell down a couple of years ago with the wind. It wasn't not a very strong tree, but it makes these beautiful flowers. And the flowers didn't stop with with being a flower. They make a beautiful dried arrangement. And then when all of the remnants of the petals and everything comes off, I keep on wanting to say poinciana, but they're not poincianas, they are proteas. So when all the remnants of the petals come off, the sort of hub of the petal thing leaves this really, it's sort of a hard wooden hub where all of the petals that originate from, and the dimples in that, which are where the stalks used to be, are in the most amazing sort of spiral. So right from the flower to the dead object. They're very interesting.
What are you doing?
Making a video of me cutting up oranges.
Oh, that's sweet.
Actually, they're columbines, they're not oranges. They're sort of like, they're very much like kumquats, but slightly larger and just a little bit sweeter. They're still very sort of sour, but they make beautiful marmalade. This is a mixture of everything. Everything I do is a bit of an experiment. This is a mixture of new fruit and old fruit, which has been on the tree for a while. I don't even know how many times it fruits. It seems to fruit twice, maybe a year, and it's prolific. It's just like tons of fruit every time. And this year I was trying to decide whether, because I don't go out in that garden all that often. It's the garden in the back, at the other end of the house. I was trying to figure out, whether the fruit, because I saw, well, it's still, there's blossom on the tree still now, and there's fruit which is clearly had been there since the last fruiting, because it's quite dry. And then there's fruit, which is clearly new, you know, it's like juicy and the seeds are not very far developed. So, and there is somebody else who does this marmalade told me that I think if you leave it on the fruit tree too long, there's less pectin. I think that's what they said. But I'm very slapdash when it comes to stuff like this. All of this stuff, you know, bread and beer and making things, and that's quite dry, this one. But the way I figure it is that, you know, most of what goes from it when it's dry is water, and I spend a long time evaporating the water out, or yeah, it is the water really. I suppose some oils come out, but I spend a lot of time evaporating the water out of this fruit, you know, just on very gentle heat. I'll just leave it just so warm, and as you know, over a couple of hours it just slowly gets rid of the moisture and reduces it down, and then I'll put the chili in right away at the beginning, because that then sort of disintegrates all the skin and everything, so it doesn't sort of come out in lumps, so you're not, in general, you're not confronted with any sort of big blasts of chili. Just sort of put chilies, because the chilies we grew too, the bush, I'm just looking out in the garden, oh, the bush is still there actually, but I think it grows for a few years, but then it just seemed to, it went all woody and not much fruit. And this last year, I think it might have missed out on some moisture at a critical time, because although there was a fair few flowers, the fruit didn't really set very well. There was only a couple of mature chilies on it, but in previous years, the last 2 years before that, it was like this tree. It was just, it gave, you know, oh my god. It just kept on giving. And the lime tree we've got as well. We've got, in the garden we've got limes, 3 types of orange, and kumquats and calendins in terms of, lemons in terms of citrus, and then there's nectarines, which very rarely fruit, because they need a bit of attention. You know, when they're budding, it's got curly leaf, and I don't put much on. We don't really look after the trees very well. Occasionally, I'll sort of try and give them fertiliser a couple of times a year. Yeah, but the nectarines have never been. I've got a few of them. This one here is like really too manky. But this one's pretty hard too. Anyway, we'll see. Let's see how it turns up. And then we've got plums. They're dry, maybe from a certain place on the tree, because I seem to be getting a lot of dry ones. Plums and apricots. Apricots have been built out when we put the container in. It sort of blocked most of this sun, but it's sort of grown up above the container now. This one's really dry too, and so it gets a bit of sunlight to nourish it. So we do get some apricots, but the birds are really hot on them, and I don't net them. I tried to scare off the birds from the apples. We've got 2 apple trees, but I put CDs on strings, and the neighbour phoned up and said, "Oh, do you mind doing something about his CDs, because they flash in the sun, really strong sun, they really flash really super strong." And I didn't think about them interfering with him. So I had to keep on tweaking them so they didn't flash his way. And in the end, they seemed to be successful. But then in the end, all of a sudden I turn around, like within the space of a day or two not being out in that garden, I think, well, I forget which bird it was. It might have been the starlings have done it in the past too. They've just stripped it just like that. So everything. So I probably one small bucketful of fruit. Mind you, we've still got preserved apples from 2 years ago. You know, I put them in these Fowler's preserving jars. We've got a bulk buy at an auction with like box loads of Fowler's jars. They're quite expensive to buy. They've got special lids and seals, and they're designed so you can reuse them. They're very famous in Australia, at least. It might be American, I think, because it enabled people living out in the bush to grow their own fruit and preserve it for the winter through the off season, and it's amazing. So I went through a few years of preserving lots of fruit, the apricots and plums and everything, anything I could. And it's beautiful. It lasts for ages. I'm still eating fruit from 3 years ago. Next door neighbour's got a really nice fig tree. We've propagated that, and we've got 2 different brands of fig tree growing. But they haven't fruited properly yet. They've fruited, but it was that dry year, like the chilies didn't make it, and the little figs didn't make it either. The reason I started videoing this is because it's such a sort of tedious task, but it's a really lovely thing to do, and it got me thinking, well, and I like videos of people that take, really long videos of people not doing much. So this isn't really for YouTube, but just wanted to make it as a sort of an illustration that you might look at this big bowl of calamdins and just picking them. It takes a while, and you might look at it and think, that's going to take bloody ages. I can't be bothered doing that. But there's this massive reward, for the ages of mindless, fiddly work. There's this huge reward, which is like, it's a sort of hidden in plain sight, really. I'm very lazy, and a lot of jobs what's the word? Procrastinator. I'm a huge procrastinator, and it's part of my workflow as well. So it's not all negative, but because it makes me stop and not do things impulsively, and then replan and plan and replan, and I end up with projects like building projects and make things. It ends up changing radically from what I would have done had I not procrastinated. So it's a good thing, really. Like maybe there's a better word for it, like contemplating or something. But I am pretty lazy, and I'll often look at jobs and I think, oh, really? I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered getting the ladder to do that or whatever, what I've got to do. Especially now, I just not so long ago stopped driving buses. So I had a sort of a casual job whilst we wanted to save some money up. when I started driving buses when I was about 65, I think. Oh no, yeah, about 64 or 65. I drove for a school first, and then I got another job with the public buses. I drove the public bus. I really enjoyed it, especially the public bus one, because I like people. But it is a shift which, you know, it's a short shift, regular shift, between 3 and 7 really. Oh, it's 5 hours, so it's too dry. Yeah, these are a bit too dry. These might have been from the other side of the tree actually. Yeah, so 5 hours a day from 2 until 2:30 to 7. That's what it was. That's the official shift. But I used to go early. I used to go at 2 and get back at about 7:45. Every day, for every weekday. But I had school holidays off, which just made it a bit bearable. And but I mean, it's great because it was really good pay for what it was. You know, about $1,000 a week for those 5 hour days, which was really, you know, quite good pay compared to other jobs. And I loved the work too. But it had this really insidious effect because I missed the afternoon. So I missed having dinner with the family. And that wasn't, you know, family dinners haven't always been like, you know, super pleasant with, you know, this step family, because it's a time when, you know, things are talked about, and with teenagers that can get a bit loud. And I didn't mind that, but Sandy never really liked that sort of. She doesn't like passionate argument. That upsets her too much. So I used to spoil dinner for her sometimes, but even though that's as hard as a rock. Even with that negative side, occasional negative side, the benefit of sitting down with the family for that, you know, half an hour or whatever that was, is so important. And having I was with the carriers for the bus company for 2 years, so I didn't do it for 2 years over school terms. And it's a bit dry too. I think this this is the first ones I picked. And having missed that for 2 years, it really was a big thing. And I stopped it finally because I reached the savings goal. And not so long ago, only a matter of about probably 4 weeks ago, I think. And then the improvement in quality of life is just spectacular. You know, I'm just more energized and positive, and you know, I have more to do with the boys because Angie's moved out, and still have some, you know, I still interact with her as well, but I help her when she needs help. But it's just changed life so much for the better, and I really enjoy, you know, interacting with the boys. And I mean, sometimes it's heated as well, but it's never bitter, you know. Oh, well, it sounds bitter. If you listen to the recordings, I have recorded a couple. Yeah, it does sound pretty revolting, but it's amazing. It always sorts itself out, you know. And the kids are really honest. And so am I. I'm honest too. So I'm often wrong. You know, often I learn a lot, you know, from having my argument thoroughly examined. You know, you sort of think, oh yeah. Even long-held beliefs, I've been able to rethink because they get sort of scrutinised, you know, by the children. You know, it's all, most of it is around the political correctness side of things. You realise, I mean, first I held on to things like, you know, you can't say the N-word, you know, that really incensed me. Not because I wanted to say the N-word, but because I didn't like being told. It was like censorship, you know, so it's like censorship. You can't actually ban a word. And you can't. I still maintain that's true, but it has a great positive effect if you A, don't say it yourself, and B, don't tolerate other people saying it. I mean, it's just not censorship. I mean, it is censorship, but the positive effect outweighs any notion that, you know, your rights are being infringed by limiting what you say. You know, I'd say, well, it's the context within which you say it. I used to say it to the kids. But even that really doesn't hold up. Because, like, why would you need to say it? Maybe you're, you know, if you're researching or doing a historical thing and analysing it, you know, illustrating where it came from and why it's a tool of, you know, a tool of the colonising nations and that sort of stuff. But I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. So it was really just a bit of a redneck thing ain't going to change my way of life sort of thing attitude. But it took years actually for me to actually understand that fully. I possibly would have not got there without the kids to point it out, you know. And you know, we had some. They were very passionate arguments occasionally. You know, people leaving the table, not me. But that's what it's all about, and that's what I missed in that 2 years, and it's a really important sort of thing to slog these things out. You know, dare I believe that sometimes the kids actually did something for me instead of me doing stuff from them, or I reckon they did. And we have a lot of fun too, like a lot of the time it's just hilarious. Because you don't see that part, their sort of humour really on a day-to-day basis. But when you've got a bit of an argument going and you sort of, and a bit of sarcasm and mickey taking comes out, it just really is hilarious. And I think we all sort of developed a bit of thick skin really. I'm the fat old demented, you know, straight white man generally. That has been modified a bit over the years. And they're always teasing me about that and how old I sort of stuff. So yeah, it's all very important. So that's that really. Just about finished this big bowl, and that's what happens when you've got someone to talk to. And the reason I did this is because I did my talking internally, so I was really enjoying it. And I wasn't even intending to talk when I videoed this. I thought it'd be a silent video, but when you have that time whilst you're doing stuff you don't have to think about, and mowing is another time when I do really good thinking. You're plodding around with a mower, especially if you're doing long parts where there aren't any trees to mow around. It really just, I don't know, it gets the blood flowing or something, and you have some really good thoughts. And that's that. Look at all those seeds. These ones are too dry or a bit rotten or something. That's a lot of seeds. I made these in different ways. First, because I'm, like I said, I'm lazy and I try and find an easier way of doing it. So first I chucked them all in, just didn't even cut them up. Just put them in a pot and boiled them until they sort of liquefied. And then I spent hours pulling out the seeds of the pot. Video.
Yay!
So I just went out in the back freezer and got these. These are the chilies we've got on the tree.
Are you talking to the video or me?
Yeah, no, the video, love. Okay, it's on the bumper crop year, which I didn't know what to do with them in the end, so they're lovely little things, and they're not too hot. They're really sort of sweet, not sweet, but another seed. They're sort of fruity flavours. They're frozen. I just chuck them in, and then boil everything up. When it's evaporated a lot, I'll just put not much sugar, just a little bit of sugar. And just put it on low, and it just slowly heats up over a few hours. And that's that.